Sheepdog, I'm glad you've got your phone in your hand, because there's an emergency afoot.
Go on.
The We're From the Internet official awesome yellow shirt is only available for sale for one more week from we'refromtheinternet.com/shirt. So, assuming you want one, which I imagine you probably do, while you've got your phone there now, you need to go to we'refromtheinternet.com/shirt, invest $9.99 of your hard-earned pennaroonies, and within a couple of days, you'll have a We're From the Internet shirt in a gorgeous, bright yellow colour, just like our logo.
Do they take pounds as well as pennaroonies?
I haven't checked. I'll be frank with you, I've not read the terms and conditions. But I did see they are available all the way up to a 3XL. So if you get
just lose a bit of weight.
Yeah, if you get a 3XL and a couple of smalls for the sleeves, then and cut it at the back and put some string on it at the back, and then small ones on the sleeves. Yeah, that way you get 3 logos for the price of 3 logos as well. Which I tell you what, if anyone orders a 3XL and 2 smalls, we'll send you £1 in the post to say, well done, you ordered the sheepdog.
Pound of what?
I don't know. Pound, I was going to say prawns, but they come in pints, not pounds.
They're quite expensive.
We'll send you a pint of prawns. That's always fascinating, that prawns are sold by the pint rather than by weight.
So do we just fill a pint glass, wrap it up and stick it in the post?
Yeah, I think so. What I've never checked is it a standard pint of prawns, is that prawns still in their shells, or is it shelled prawns? Because if it's a pint of shelled prawns, that's far more prawn per pint than if they've still got their shells on.
And would you liquidise them?
I don't know. And why is it? Here's another a quirk of the English language. Why are shelled prawns the ones that don't have a shell on? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because they've been shelled.
If you're a hooded assailant in the news, you've not removed your hood, you're still wearing it.
Yeah, but if you were to remove one's hood, you'd be like, they hooded him.
No. To hood someone, you put a hood on them. So to shell a prawn, you should be putting the shell on.
But you don't do that to a prawn. You can walk around sticking shells on them.
Well,
shell them.
Like I said, it's a
nut as well.
It's a quirk of the English language.
Those quirky Brits say.
Yeah. When I shell a nut, I put shells on it. I get a bag of KP salted peanuts.
Take them to the beach.
Cover them in prawn shells.
That sounds quite nice, to be fair.
Yeah, it'd be nearly as good as the KFC skins wrapped around KFC chips, which is the meal of kings, I'll have you know. Anyway, this shirt is at weirfromtheinternet.com/shirt. Complicated as that may seem, buy one, because, let's face it, you'll look really handsome in it.
They do look surprisingly good quality.
Hello, I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet. What do you mean surprisingly good quality? Were you expecting them to be crap?
Well, no, the reason I was apprehensive was that if you look at the site, it's like someone's doodled a picture of a t-shirt. And then
I didn't even do that. I went on iTunes, saw the logo.
No, I didn't mean you.
Used the snipping tool to get the logo off of iTunes and slapped it on a t-shirt.
No, but I meant the t-shirt looks like they've just doodled it in crayon and then you've stuck our logo on it. So I always thought, that t-shirt in the background of the logo on the screen you're looking at just looks like someone's artist impression of a t-shirt. It's not very good. But when you actually see one in the flesh, the logo's not just
They're not made of flesh, are they? Is that why they're so cheap? Because they're made entirely of human flesh?
You're the one in the flesh. You are flesh. You're not just seeing it through your eyes.
It does say the preview shown is only as accurate as monitors allow and the final shirt will differ slightly. And everyone knows one of the big failings of the modern computer monitor is that it can't accurately portray a t-shirt.
That is what they often say, but that's the thing that kind of... My first impression when you sent me one of them was that looks terrible. Why would you put our name on that? And then when I saw one, I was like, okay, no. I judged too swiftly. I assume I didn't do the necessary research and taste testing that you did by ordering a load of them and trying them out and then sending them back and procuring the correct people.
I didn't send them back. I sold them on eBay. Scratched our logo off and just sold them as yellow t-shirts.
I saw you, I've since learned that you walked up and down the fashion industry in London, just, all the fashion
I'm looking
shows.
forward to parading around sports over the next few weeks wearing my rugby shirt to show my support for the Rugby World Cup.
I'm at the Rugby World Cup next week.
Will you be wearing a shirt that says rugby on the front of it
get here in
with
time.
our logo?
I've seen...
They turn around in 2 days. Don't worry. You'll be fine.
I'm seeing New Zealand v Namibia. Now...
Well, there you go. So you've got no horse in that race. You need to wear a rugby shirt.
I was about to ask. I didn't know Namibia was a thing. I thought there was a country called Nambia, but I've made that up, obviously.
No, that exists as well.
So where's Namibia?
Near Nambia, I think.
So it's just like Nambia's
Does Nambia
big brother.
exist?
I might have made it up.
Let's get on Google.
Who do I support? Do I support the Kiwis?
You support rugby.
Is it the All Blacks? Are they New Zealand, or am I making that up?
Yeah, that's New Zealand. Have you been practising the haka?
Will I get to see that? Will I get to join in to that?
You won't get to see it because you'll still be in the bar probably at that point. But it will be going on while you're there.
Cool.
Where is this match happening?
The Olympic Stadium, which will be my second time visiting.
Well, I know that.
The first time I went there, I ran 300 metres to see Usain Bolt run the 100 metres.
It turns out Namibia is a country. Nambia probably isn't.
Well, it says Nambia. No, it doesn't.
That
There's an I
Namibia.
there. Maybe I'm slightly dyslexic.
It's not where I thought it was. I thought it was up near the Ivory Coast, but that's down near South Africa. Don't worry, I'm going to a more detailed map. You carry on talking about the Olympic Stadium.
But yeah, no, I reckon I probably ran for longer than most of the athletes at that event when I was there. And I saw a woman get run over by a random golf cart, which was quite interesting. That was a very fun day out.
I can understand the confusion around there potentially being in Nambia and Namibia, because if you look at this map of Africa, there's Nigeria and Niger right next to each other. There's Libya and Liberia right near each other. So there's Sudan and South Sudan near each other.
Maybe there is a Nambia. Maybe it's not in Africa.
It's not on the map. Well, where would it be?
I don't know. Near New Zealand, perhaps. Maybe it's a local derby.
Look, there's somewhere in South Africa that's completely surrounded by South Africa. But he's not South Africa. That's clever. That'd be like, I think we should make Peterborough independent and get it on Google Maps. Is Peterborough on Google Maps at the moment? Let's have a look. No, London is. Peterborough's
There's a
not.
star there.
Yeah, what does that star mean?
Well, it's where the stars live, I imagine.
It's my old school that I worked at. Why is that a star on the map? And why is the Premier in Manchester also a star? They're the only two stars on the map of the world. They must be my two most Googled places, which is bizarre. Why would I Google the place I used to go to every day? I know where that is. I don't need to look at that on the map.
Why did you go to the Trafford Centre every day?
Well, that's the hotel we usually stay in when we go to Play Expo. So I Google that at least once a year. No, at least twice a year. Once when I'm booking the hotel and once when I can't remember what hotel I've booked. So we're in our 4th year going to Play Expo now, so I've Googled that place at least 8 times. So that I can understand why that's in my 2 most Googled places in history. But why is my old school there? Maybe. If anything, my new school should be there, because I keep forgetting I've changed schools when I'm driving in the morning. The amount of times I almost drive past where I'm supposed to be and go to where I'm not supposed to be anymore. Very confusing.
That is bizarre. Do you ever go to any big sporting events?
Yeah, I've been to 3 playoff finals.
Other than them? Because I've been there.
Sporting events don't come any bigger. You've not been to all 3 of them.
I've been to one of them.
Yeah, that's just a third of the amount I've been to.
Yeah, but the other 2 were before I knew they existed and they weren't really relevant.
Well, we've still got our 100% record in playoff finals, thanks to me. If I ever didn't go to one, we'd lose it, because the one common denominator amongst all 3 playoff final victories has been the presence of me.
I bet that's not strictly true, but...
well, there's perhaps a few other people who've been to all of them, but I don't know who they are, apart from my dad and my brother.
See, I have a weird... I mean, obviously, the only sporting club or sporting-related thing that I remotely feel any passion towards is Spurs, and I've only really seen them live in...
The San Antonio Spurs, that is, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I've only seen them live in quite unimportant games, like pre-season.
Well, San Antonio's a long way to go.
Or, I mean, I saw them play Man United at basketball, and...
Is San Antonio Spurs basketball?
I don't know, I think so.
It was American football.
No, I think they're basketball.
There you go, I'm going to Google that as well.
So, that's probably one of the most, important games. It was an early season game. So I've never actually seen them in an important match. It's always been like 3rd round of the FA Cup or the day after my daughter was born and I'd already got tickets.
What's your opinion on head coach Greg Popovich at the Spurs these days? Are you happy that you won the NBA championship in 2014? You're probably still riding high on the crest of that wave, I imagine, aren't you?
I think giving Jimmer an opportunity to make the most of his half-year guarantee is a very good move.
Wow.
Marcus Aldrich.
And there's no return to form for Parker at Eurobasket. Is that
like Eurogamer next door to Euro?
I assume that's the place where you buy basketball stuff from in Europe. There's only one shop, and that's where all the gangs go and buy their basketball shirts from.
Is their slogan, there's only one Spurs? Because that's what Spurs' slogan is.
Their slogan is, there's two, actually. They just put that on all their merchandise.
Yeah, so what I was trying to say is, I know they've not had major successes over the years, but they've been in some cup finals, and I've not gone to any of them. I've watched them on the telly. But I've been to, like, a major day at Wimbledon. I was on centre court. I've, been to the Olympics. I can't remember if it was Andy Murray or Tim Henman, to be honest.
Did you beat him?
I saw Trevor McDonald.
What, playing
so
tennis?
I won. Yeah, no, he was in the stands with a pair of binoculars. I was there for a good day with that.
Do you need how? Now, I've only ever seen
he was
Wimbledon
in the Royal
on the
box,
telly.
which must have been quite far away, because
Having only seen it on the telly, it looks about the same size as
your garage.
Yeah, it's like it's the seating you get in a school sports hall.
Yeah.
Why do you need binoculars there? What's he looking at?
Maybe he was scanning the lines to see whether the ball bounced over the line or under the line and that sort of thing, perhaps. But he didn't even be able to look at a specific part at the time.
Are you a regular binocular user like I am?
I don't think I've used a pair in over a decade.
What I've learnt from my many times using a set of binoculars is that if you're looking at something with the naked eye, by the time you get your binoculars up, the thing you're looking at has moved. And if you're just looking through binoculars, the amount of jerky head movements you have to do to try, you wouldn't be able to follow a ball with a pair of binoculars.
Maybe they were just glasses on a stick. I mean, I was quite far away and I didn't have my binoculars.
Well, you needed binoculars.
But he was holding
should have gone
to his eyes.
Trev, can I borrow your binoculars?
Well, I tried, but everyone kept shushing people, and they kept shushing, and I kept trying to explain that Brainiac on Sky did a very scientific experiment where they got people to play golf, tennis, football, cricket, and so on and so forth, and they proved, without a doubt, that noise doesn't make people worse at golf, etc. But that made them angrier.
So you're there at the tennis going, it won't make you worse at golf. What are you thinking?
But yeah, so I tried to explain to these idiots in the crowd that it won't have an impact.
Did you get an oversized tennis ball to get autographs on?
No,
my daughter went there a few years ago,
so.
And she came back with an enormous tennis ball. It was on a school trip. But because she wasn't anywhere near the front, she just got all her friends to write on her tennis ball. She's got a big tennis ball in her room that a load of 7-year-olds have just drawn pictures
Brilliant.
of.
I was wandering around, and the only thing I kept thinking was, where do people keep getting these strawberries from? And my wife kept going, oh, look, I can't even think of a famous tennis player. Let's just say Andre Agassi. Is he a tennis player?
He was.
Yeah.
I imagine he's still
wandering around, stuff like that. She kept just pointing people out to me. And we saw the commentators sitting in this, like the big, what they call the metal containers that they ship stuff in. They built a pile of
shipping
them.
Containers.
Yeah, that's it, shipping containers.
Brilliant.
They built a studio out of shipping containers.
Yeah, that's how all studios are built.
Interesting.
Have you never been to a football match where they've got that doesn't have a built-in studio? Like
no.
whenever Sky are at Posh, they just pile a couple of shipping containers in the corner of the ground. They don't.
Really?
Now we've got the new stand. They don't have to because they've built a studio into it. But before that was built, they would just stack a couple of them on top of each other in the corner of the pitch,
That's
and that's
amazing.
where Gary Lineker would sit.
But yeah, I saw them doing that, and then I just spent the rest of the day concerned because they were hitting the ball with such ferocity that I was worried it would hit me. So I spent the whole day on edge thinking.
Did you keep trying to tell the tennis players to shush when they were grunting when they were hitting the ball? Because you've got to shush. So if they want shush, they have to shush too. You can't enforce a rule of silence and then scream like a moron every time you hit a tennis ball. I've played tennis. I've hit stuff with bats before. I've never felt the need to go as I do it.
I think they're probably trying to mask the sound of the ball bouncing off the tennis racket so that they don't. But the other person then won't know whether it's coming until they see it, and their eyes won't react quick enough.
Everyone knows they're using binoculars because they won't know where it's coming from.
Everyone knows sound is quicker than light.
Is it?
No.
I see.
But yeah, on top of that, I've been, as I said, to the Olympics, and I ran.
We're going to the Olympics next year, aren't we? Beach volleyball. We've got to start training soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if we might have left it a little late now. When we had that idea straight after the 2012 Olympics to train for 4 years and be the beach volleyball team, it sounded like a doable plan. Here we are, probably 4 months before the Olympic trials for the beach volleyball team. And I'm a little concerned that we don't yet own a volleyball or any beach, and we haven't started training.
I think you have to own your own beach to...
Well, where do you train on?
I
Surely
imagine
you
they
need a
just
bit of beach.
train in a sand pit for a bit. I got a sand pit at home. My son was eating the sand out of it today.
Well, we'll train there then.
I'll have to make him vomit out.
It sounds like you've done your bit. You've just provided the sand.
You just didn't get the ball.
I'll get us a ball. I've got these kettlebells. We could just chop the handles off one of them.
And just lob them back and forth.
Yeah. I bet if we trained for 6 months of beach volleyball using kettlebells instead of a volleyball, we'd be the fittest beach volleyball team there. In every definition of that word.
Or we'd be in hospital.
Why? The first time we have to dig it out on the floor with our wrists and just shatter our wrists with a 20-kilogram kettlebell flying into them. And then I spike it down towards you. Yeah. Hit that one back, you loser. Why are we playing against each other? We're supposed to be a team. Go and fetch the second best beach volleyball team to play against us.
See, that's where we could win. If we got all of the world's volleyball teams to come and train with us because we're the pros, we take it so seriously, we're the most hardcore. We say, right, we'll go first. Just throw the 20-kilogram kettlebell over. When they go to punch it and snap their wrists, then they have to send out their B team. And if
we should probably not discuss this on the air anymore, because I know all the beach volleyball teams listen to the show, and I don't want to give our secrets away. So spoil our plan. So the Kevin Steve Beach Volleyball Training Camp opens next weekend at a rugby ground, apparently.
Where did that come out? I'm just going to one. I didn't say...
Is that not where we're doing the trials?
No, my garden I thought was the trials. Because I
thought we were taking the sand down to Rugby.
Oh, right. I can take it with me if you want.
Yeah, take the sand to Rugby, and I'm
going to the Olympic Stadium in London, not Rugby.
Yeah, you're going to Rugby at Rugby. Yeah, I don't know. You're going to wear your rugby shirt. Everyone's going to. You'll be walking past. People will be nudging each other, going, "Hey, Robbie Fowler over there."
I thought I was Properties Rugby.
No, you're Rugby's Robbie Fowler.
Fair enough. But yeah,
it's Rugby's Robbie Fowler. It's all you'll hear all day.
Who do I support? Back to that original question.
Rugby. You support Rugby. Tesco have spoken. You support no team. You support only Rugby itself. Just like in the Olympics, you supported Olympics.
Yeah.
I bet you...
Have you seen the slogan is "Make them giants"?
Isn't that O2's slogan? Because O2... see, I'm a little bit concerned with the O2 adverts leading up to the Rugby World Cup, because obviously they sponsor the England rugby team. But when they put their adverts on at Channel 4 at 8:30 at night, they also get broadcast in Wales and Scotland and Ireland. Now, that's got to be... There must be plenty of people in Wales switching to a different mobile phone provider, isn't there?
They might have They can nationalise it. They do it with the news.
What, so with the O2 advert, when it goes to Wales, they just fade out all the rugby players and it's just the O2 thing. And
I imagine they have the Welsh team.
Yeah, but they don't sponsor the Welsh team.
Well, then they probably don't have that advert there.
What advert have they? They're not going to make 2 adverts. Do you think they made of money?
Well, they probably would, or they just wouldn't show that advert in Wales. They can target where it's sent.
I disagree. Channel 4's broadcast all over the world. 24/7 worldwide.
But they still say to me, you must do, because you live down the road from me, but I'll be interested to see if you don't. I'm watching the news in the morning and then it cuts to the countdown for 20 minutes because they can't give me the local news in HD.
I don't watch it on the telly, I watch the news on my phone. On my iPad.
Did you think buying a damn camera?
I stand in the kitchen making my pack up with BBC News on in the morning, and when it goes to the local news, I have to watch the London local news because that's the only one on the iPad.
See, because I don't turn over to standard definition because the woman on our local news, I mean, this is probably why they don't upgrade to HD, but the woman on our local news does not make enough effort. So,
you sexist monster.
I don't mean this in any sexist kind of way. I mean, she looks like she just needs coffee. She's always got bags under her eyes because she's tired.
Well, it's first thing in the morning.
Well, don't do it. I'm not a morning person. I wouldn't do it.
You're up watching the telly at that. You're there critiquing her presenting at that hour.
She just sounds like she can't be bothered.
Doing your TV news reviews that you love to do.
She just sounds like she's got no interest in being there. She wanted to do the news at 10, but they bumped her to morning news and she's just fed up.
She's probably been on since 10.
So I just keep thinking, well, what's the point of me making the effort to forget that I'm controlling an Xbox and shout Xbox, watch BBC One, and it goes to the HD one because it's clever. And
Thanks
then,
for that. My Xbox has just put BBC One on now, you swine.
and then I have to try and find the remote, but I haven't had coffee yet because I'm out of bloody pods.
Because a woman on the news has drunk it all.
She needs to.
I've got loads of pods, but no coffee machine at the moment. I think we could come to an arrangement here. If you bring your coffee machine to my house, I can drink loads of coffee. Deal. Well said. Agreed.
But yeah, I don't want to make the effort to turn over if she's not going to make the effort to wake up.
What, so you just sit there watching a timer for 20 minutes while the local news is on?
I did until I realised recently I could just put BBC News on and they won't even do that.
You could do what I've started doing recently and watching Eamon Holmes on Sky News.
But he does my head in because all I can think of is that joke version of him where he eats everything.
Yeah, that's not the joke version. That's real Eamon Holmes. That's what happens on Sky News, and they have this weird thing that I've started watching. If you're watching it at like 6:20 in the morning, they have something called Morning Stories that I think we could get on, because it's just nobody, like a Z-list comedian or, I don't know, newspaper reporter or weird radio weirdo, just having a rant about something ridiculous and having a really contrary opinion for a minute and a half, just in a black room, head to camera, dearly. We could do that. We need to be contacting Eamon and saying, look, we're about as well known as half the people you have on this.
Do you think that'd be our
Can
ticket
we
to go
do
on
a
the
morning
CBeebies
story?
equivalent, where you get to read a story out and tell all the kids to go to bed?
Well, we have to make up our own story. Basically, we have to come up with a really offensive opinion about something in the news, because I've cracked it. The idea of this, because it's also, they put it as the headline on the Sky News app on your phone for about an hour after it's on, and then it disappears. But clearly, it's just about getting people phoning into Sky News at that time in the morning. So I reckon we could be offensive enough to generate a few phone calls to Sky News. We just need a topic. We need someone give us a soapbox to stand on. We'll invent an opinion about it, and we'll get on the telly then.
Sky would let us go on there and call all their viewers idiots.
I don't think you can be that direct. I think you have to decide what the stereotypical Sky News viewer is, and then attack one of their really strongly held opinions that they're likely to have. So
I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about social profiling and then being contrary. But Ollie Mann off of Anthony, he's on Sky News all the time.
Do you know, I've discovered how he does it. Somebody on one of these...
He's a proper journalist.
No. It's nothing to do with that.
Who went to Oxford.
No.
Journalism.
Nothing to do with his qualifications, talent and ability.
Okay.
There is a website online that I can't remember the name of, so you have to tweet me if you're interested in this sort of thing.
I'm interested. I'm sorry, bear with me, I'll tweet you now.
But you can sign up, and basically you look through it as and when you fancy it, and journalists go on there and say, like, I've got to write a piece about...
Do they have to fill in that blank?
Yeah.
Would that be giving away too many trade secrets if you said what the piece was about?
And they sort of say who's an expert on it or whatever, and then you can go on there and say, like, I'm Kevin Chapman. I wrote a book on revision guides, and know a lot about teaching and blah blah blah. And I think I'd be a good person for you to talk with in your interview. And then if it's a video one, they'll obviously get you down to do a video shoot, or they'll have you there as the mouthpiece for whatever people are saying, or they'll just write about you.
I do want this website, because this week I've accidentally stumbled across something like this completely by mistake. Now, this is going to fall into boring teacher talk for about a minute and a half, so just fast forward if you don't want to know. But I was browsing around the Times Educational Supplement website forum thing the other day, just looking for...
I was about to say, I've not been on that in ages. I've not been a teacher for ages.
Basically, going through the computer science forum, looking for people to troll, as I like to do on that forum. And there was a banner ad in there saying, do you like writing? And I thought, I kind of do like writing. I'll click on this and have a look. Are you an expert in your subject? Oh,
I'd like to think so.
I've always considered myself a bit of a know-it-all. Tell me more. And long story short, I am now the subject genius for computer science in the Times Educational Supplement, and I have an article that's being published on Monday in there, and I've got to do a regular article for them. And that was, they've asked nothing about me. They haven't even checked I'm a teacher. They haven't checked I've got any qualifications. And the article I submitted last night is just really quite ranty, talking about, and I thought, well, it's debut article. I've got to be a bit clickbaity. So it's me attacking computer science teachers. It's basically the trolling I was going on there to do anyway. I've ramped up to the next level. Look, I'm not going to bother trolling you all individually anymore. I'm the genius now. It says so in my byline.
Look, you bunch of idiots. Yes, your degree's in maths or sociology or some such nonsense, but you're here to do a job. It's to teach computer science, so stop being a pansy and do it properly.
Pretty much. Yeah. I've categorised them as one of 3 different categories. There's either the know-it-alls, me. There's the enthusiastic amateurs, and there's the scared to tries. And you have to be one of those 3. And
there is no other option.
Basically listed why all 3 of them were rubbish.
Why is the expert rubbish? Because you know it, you know how to make it easy.
And this is, we're getting too deep into teaching now, but it's because we know too much.
Yeah, well, yeah. But then at the same time, the enthusiastic know-it-alls, or know-nothings, whatever you were calling them, they
know everything that's in the textbooks. They've read the whole textbook.
Oh yeah, but so they want to make it all hard.
Yeah, they know all the stuff you have to teach, but they don't know how to actually program a computer. They know the theory behind it, but they don't know how to do it. We know how to program it, but I don't know all the fancy theory. We didn't do.
I know both.
We didn't do that.
I knew all of that, and my problem was always that I knew it all and didn't think it was a big deal, and got it into people's minds quite quickly. And then they'd be like, "Well, what are they doing?" And I'd be like, "Well, we're finished, so we're doing other stuff and extra stuff." And then they'd all know how to do it, and then I'd get penalised because they'd be doing Year 9 stuff in Year 7 and stupid stuff like that. And
it's a sheepdogs. I was too good for teaching.
Too good for the system. Yeah, too good. So now I'm doing something else. But I don't know. Well, I mean, I just think it's annoying when you got people trying to do a job that they're not. They're just making up as to go along. He says with no real base to be a salesman. But
well, anyway, if you want to see me being clickbaity and I don't care that it's only the blog section of the educational section of the oldest newspaper in the world that I now write for, damn it.
Yeah, damn it. I write for the Metro and you write for the Times educational supplement. That's just great.
Yeah, I'm now...
well, at least now I know what game we're playing. I'll go and write for The Guardian.
Look, I don't care, because that's The Guardian. So, to The Guardian. Unless Guardian, I'm open to offers.
Yeah, it's got to be better than the Times.
I've now got the oldest newspaper in the world putting the word genius next to my name. I think I might start to develop an ego.
Oh, I might see if they need some sort of internet genius, then I'll go in and cramp your style by ranting about...
Well, to be honest, the amount of credential checking they've done, yeah. You can just say, look, I'm the dance genius.
Well, so I am. They call me the dance genius. That's my nickname on the streets.
I challenge you to get an article published on Times Educational Supplement with your name with dance subject genius under it. I'll give you £10 if that gets published.
I'll have a look over the weekend then.
That'd be marvellous. I'm looking forward to that more than anything I've ever looked forward to. That will make up to me for the fact that you've had your hair cut like a big pansy.
I do feel better for it though. I enjoyed it.
£100 poorer because of it, though. Think of what you could have spent that money on. You could have had 10 haircuts. Celebrate.
That's all right. No, I got fed up with it going in my eyes and stuff. It was too long.
Too long? That's a rugby thing. We're back to rugby. That's who Johnny Wilkinson plays for, isn't it?
Toulon, is that a place?
In France, yeah.
Is that Toulouse?
No. Are we on this again? It's Toulon.
Oh, God.
I'm sure it is. You've got me thinking now.
Might be 2 different places.
Yeah, where's Google Maps gone? I've still got hold on, breaking San Antonio Spurs news. The Adjustment Bureau, how LaMarcus Aldridge will fit in with the Spurs. How do you think LaMarcus Aldridge will fit in with the Spurs, Sheepdog?
Very well.
Grantland says Aldridge might not be the best fit for San Antonio's whirring equal opportunity system.
Yeah, but he's a bit of a bigoted know-nothing.
Right, there you go. Toulon Rugby. RC Toulonnais. Yeah, I'm sure that... I imagine Johnny Wilkinson's about 80 now, so he probably doesn't play for him anymore.
You just reminded me, I watched a video the other day.
Did you?
Did
you enjoy it?
Well, I'm not sure how they proved any points with this, but it was called This Is How People Spoke, Your Ancestors Spoke 500 Years Ago. And it was just a poem about a parrot. And, apparently 500 years ago, everyone in England spoke a weird mixture of English, French, German, and nonsense.
Isn't that what it still is?
No, but this was ridiculous. This was just like, instead of parrot, it was like, paro. And the words are very similar, but had some weird...
So we were just pronouncing stuff properly back then. So when we stole a word from the French, we would say it right, and over the years,
I guess so.
people like you have butchered it, started adding
which language says like
R's where they don't
specking
belong.
instead of speaking? None of them say specking. Germany says sprechen. And, is it parler
What are you talking about?
in French? Is that speak?
Well, look, I'm not the languages expert.
I clearly am. I'll go for that as well.
Yeah, you want to be I want in your byline, dance and languages
Do you know, I'd
genius.
love to be the languages genius, and I'd write a contentious argument about how languages is probably one of the least important subjects to do in a school, so why on earth do all the teachers act like it should be up there, maths, English and science, when IT should be, because that's useful to the world.
Write that article then.
Yeah. Whereas languages, if you just taught everyone English and refused to budge, everyone else would catch up eventually. And if you all went abroad and taught those English instead of trying to teach us languages that we want to die, the whole world would speak English, and then the world would be a more communicative place.
Sounding a bit dictatory and empire-y there.
No. Yeah, I am. But what?
I'm going to take over the world and make them all speak English. And
No, but what I mean is
make them all
everyone
drive
speaks
on the
anyway.
left.
It's important. I know. I'm only playing devil's advocate, to be fair. I know. I really enjoyed doing languages at school, but I don't think it's one of the top subjects you need to do.
Well, that's no way for the dance and languages genius to speak.
Well, it will be though. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, look, let's all stop getting above our station. We're about as important as textiles. It's a useful skill to have if you want it, but you can get by in life without being able to sew.
Oh, you're going to have a dig at textiles, eh? I had a dig at food tech in my article, so let's just take the stupid DT subjects down.
But I
the
think
important
food tech's
ones,
important
hitting
'cause
stuff with a
you'll-
hammer, I'll allow that, but
I'd say the other way around. You can
sewing
pay
and
someone to hit
cooking,
with a hammer. Sewing's nonsense, but cooking.
you don't need to do it at school, do you? I can cook, I never did it at school.
I suppose it's a hobby like PE. There's no point doing PE and cooking.
So speaks
It's
the
just
fat
hobbies.
man.
Yeah,
How many weeks you got left to live now, Mr. No Point in PE?
15th of October.
If you'd done a bit more PE, you wouldn't be in this terminal illness pickle now, would you?
Yeah. PE was just nonsense, though. And that's another one that thinks it's up there with maths, English and science. PE ran the school I bloody worked in, and we'd have to sit through their boring announcements, and you'd think, you're not important. You're about as important as textiles and languages.
I bet that went down well every time you shouted in. Then people were saying, shh, they can't concentrate on the golf they're playing.
Yeah.
But Brainiac! I'm looking forward to the potential genius versus genius battle next time I walk into an Apple store. Look,
Well-
you might be an Apple genius, but mine says computer science genius. I think you'll find Apple is encompassed by computer science, ergo, I am superior to you. Give me a free phone. That's the line I'm going to go for.
They'll know me as the trifecta genius when I'm the genius of dance, PE and languages. And I mention in passing that I'm better at, not better, that's the wrong word. I got a higher grade in the computer sciences, teaching as this other fella, so I might take yours and be the quadfecta genius.
You didn't get a higher grade than me.
The teaching one I did. I didn't at the important one.
Oh, I've got a mobile phone call. I might answer that and see who it is. I answered it. There were people, anyone who's listening, the 3 or 4 of you are listening, this CD hasn't just skipped. You didn't hear me answer it. I paused the tape. Then I went and answered the call. It was Anna. There was a spider. I got rid of it.
You sound really out of breath and like you battled
I had a
with
bit
it.
of a bat. I did have a bit of a bat. No, it's because she hit me afterwards. Because it
So you had a battle with her?
Yeah, it's because it fell down off the ceiling, and I went to grab it with some toilet roll, but missed, so I just took the spider and put it out the window and gave her the toilet roll back, and she was just calming down, and I said, the spider's in there, you know, and she just threw the toilet roll.
She let the spider live this time?
Yeah, I always let the spider live.
No, I've seen you squish them in paper.
Well, yeah, I maimed them a little bit, but they're usually still alive.
You squelched one like a grape.
That was accidental.
Oh, okay. I've always felt bad for that spider. Every time I see one, I
It
think...
shouldn't have been where I was swinging my arms. That was in here last week, wasn't it?
No, it was weeks ago now. Oh, that was the one when you went up to the wall and just placed your thumb on it without even realising and splattered it against the wall. And I was mortified then. I'd forgotten all about the death of that one, but
there's
I
a
feel
stain
like
on the wall over
every
there.
time I find one, I have to save it just because you killed two now. The amount of spiders that get in my house, I can't wait to move into a new build. Hopefully they just won't have any
The spiders will come with you. They're in all your stuff.
Probably.
Unless you're going to burn all your stuff and get new stuff.
Probably. I might
Somewhere
tell
there's
my
no
daughter
spiders.
they're in all her teddies so she leaves them behind.
They probably are in our teddies.
Yeah, I might just say...
Full of spiders'
that's-
nests.
All that fluffiness, that's just spiders.
Yeah. Why are you going to rugby anyway? I don't understand. You don't like rugby.
All expenses paid trip.
So you're just going to get drunk and eat donuts.
I hope it's all
sandwiches
expenses
instead.
paid. If I get a bill at the end of this, I'll be shocked. But yeah, invited us a sales jaunt.
Because you're a big rugby fan.
Well, no, they did say to me, do you want to come? You know, I know you're not really into it. But then it turns out the other guy who's taken us isn't really into it. And
So you just go, you're everything that's wrong with professional sport. Because you're going to go along, just get drunk. You might make it to your seat eventually, but you'll be having a wee halfway through. And then towards the end, you'll think, there's a free bar in there. Do I really need to see Namibia lose again? They can't catch up with these big rugby men. I'll just go and have a pint. And then you'll just get drunk and probably...
it's a Thursday night. I rarely have an excuse to get drunk on the
Thursday night next week. That poses a problem. That's when I was going to suggest we do the podcast next week. Because we're away at the weekend, so Friday night becomes an issue. I might have to come with you. Oh, come with you. Thanks for the invite.
I'm sure my
I'm
boss
going
wouldn't
to
mind.
rugby with you. Yeah, well, I used to play rugby. You know, I'm a rugby man. I was a number 8.
I don't know what that means. You had an 8 on your back.
Yeah, I had an 8 on my back, and my position was the number 8 as well. Rugby numbers make sense, because the number indicates what position you play.
So does a football one, usually.
No, but in rugby it just does. So the number 8 plays in the number 8 position at the base of the scrum. I had to put my head between 2 sets of buttocks and have the ball between my legs as we drove the scrum forward. And then the scrum half would take the ball from between said legs and go on his merry way with it.
I can't.
On occasion, I was the fly half and I wore a number 10 on my back.
I can't get
I
my
could
head
kick.
around how they invented that game. I can see how they invented football because it's just kicking the ball around into a goal.
Yeah, well, isn't the story of rugby... I mean, really, if you're going, you need to know the backstory. Isn't the story of rugby that someone just picked up a football and started running with it? And
But where did the scrum come from?
well, because I imagine that was all the other kids saying, "Don't be an idiot, give us the ball back, we're trying to play football." And they just piled on. And then some wise man with a beard and a cane was watching over it thinking, we could make a game out of this. And it became a thing.
I might be getting my history wrong, but I'm pretty sure Spurs came out of a cricket club.
What, the San Antonio Spurs? That's
Yeah.
unusual to have cricket in Texas.
Is that what San Antonio
in
is?
Texas? I think it might be. Hold on, let's find out. To Google, San Antonio.
I'm thinking something like, it can't be Philadelphia or
I
San
think it's in
Francisco. I think I'm
Texas.
getting it mixed up.
So San Antonio is a major city in south central Texas with a rich colonial heritage.
Yeehaw.
There you go. So, see, I know my San Antonio Spurs. I'm a big Spurs
Yeah,
fan.
see,
I've been saying it
I
for
only
years.
see them when they play Man United and Brighton.
Yeah, whereas I follow that fella before. His
They
name I
should
can't
play for the
remember.
name, although I know that my Spurs would lose.
What game would they play?
Well, that's what I
One
mean.
game of basketball, one game
They
of
could do
football.
like a
Perhaps rugby-
heptathlon where they play basketball, football.
That's why rugby exists. It's the basketball-football hybrid for settling the Spurs score. It was all leading up to this.
I
It's
told you about
basically half basketball, half football.
I'm sure I've told you about this before, but when I was a kid, I was out shopping with my dad, and this bloke in Lakeside Shopping Centre came up to me and my dad and said, if I can get 3 basketballs into a basketball hoop in the middle of the shopping centre, we can have free tickets to White Hart Lane to see a American football team play.
That's unusual. Come on.
So, I actually did it. I pounded 3 basketballs into this hoop.
You
and
pounded him.
Pounded them, and he gave us an envelope with 2 tickets in. And,
Oh, he was a Frenchman, was he? Or else he would have given you an envelope, wouldn't he?
but yeah, I always look back at that and think, why was there a basketball game to get an American football ticket at a football stadium? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Why wasn't it throwing American footballs into something? But we didn't go. I had to give tickets away.
Where did you
We
get
were busy.
American football from?
But why were they getting us to throw basketballs?
What else are you going to throw? That's probably all they had.
Why wasn't I kicking an American football through a hole in the,
Why did you give the tickets away?
Because I couldn't go to the game.
Why?
My dad had some reason or another not to take me.
What's he got against American football?
I don't know.
Because he's a big rugby man as well, like me.
Probably. That could be it.
That's why we're so good at lifting sofas and you're incompetent at it.
They'll
probably spot you for what you are on the way in.
They didn't when I was at the Champions League game earlier in the season.
What Champions League game?
Wasps, Leinster.
Was that rugby? The rugby have a Champions League, do they?
Well, some kind of Champions League, yeah.
Well, I
But it was Wasps, Leinster.
Leicester.
Leinster.
We're at it again. What is it? What is it with these damn sports teams? It's rugby. Don't know words properly.
I'm wondering whether it'll... Because that had a really subpar celebration around it. It was all a bit... Like, if your kid's school decided to put on a sports event that had the world kind of title of the Champions League type level, but they just didn't have any budget for anything. They had like a couple of dodgy bands playing and a beer tent and gave out loads of flags and stuff. And
I'm on board with this. This sounds incredible.
I wonder if the World Cup will be that low-key. Just a bloke belting out Oasis covers.
I thought they'd knocked down the Olympic Stadium to let West Ham put a football pitch on it or something.
No, Spurs are going to knock it down, the San Antonio Spurs, and build a stadium there that works.
An indoor one for basketball.
West Ham said, no, we'll just have it because we're idiots, and they're going to pay money. Oh, it's weird, they're going to pay money, but they've also been given £100 million. If you live in London, you paid for that gutted.
Well, I get the London news on my phone every morning,
go, so you're probably paying somehow
for it, yeah.
But,
my TV licence has gone.
I'm interested to see how far back you'll be, because apparently the nearest seat to the pitch is 18 metres.
Well, I'll be very far back, because I won't even be in the stadium.
No, but if you ever went to see West Ham play Posh or something when they're both in the Championship, you'll be 18 metres from the pitch in the best seat.
How far is 18 metres? That's goal to the penalty spot. That's not that far.
18 metres? You're thinking yards?
Well, metres and yards are about the same.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
A yard is 3 feet, isn't it? And 3 feet is about a metre.
I have no idea.
You really are a buffoon, aren't you?
I'm not a buffoon. It was a long way, because a normal football pitch...
I sit more than 18 metres away from the pitch at the moment.
Yeah, but you do, but you're not in the front row.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be in the front row. Anyone who sits in the front row is an idiot. Why would you want to be that close?
You're not listening, though. The people in the front row are normally... about
Idiots.
2 metres from the pitch, which is too close. If you're more...
So this is good.
No, so the equivalent of your seat at the Olympic Stadium would be about...
I don't have a seat in the Olympic Stadium.
But it would be about 30 metres away.
Have you already booked me a ticket?
30 to 40 metres away or something crazy like that.
So I've got to sit 30 to 40 metres from you. That's the ticket you've booked me. Will I still get the free beer?
Is there free beer at rugby?
Why else would people go?
Is there free beer? Are you telling me this is free beer?
Well, I doubt that. I don't know. It depends what kind of hospitality dealer you've been.
I think we just got tickets.
You've been to sports. See, sports events on hospitality are different from normal sports events. See, if you're there on hospitality, there's free beer.
Well, no, I don't think they're doing that. I think they were just taking us on a jolly because we are a team. And
Go team.
This company.
So you're going to have T-shirts that say rugby on one side and go team on the other.
Yeah.
So you look like real sports fans.
But,
Yo, go sports.
Yes, I imagine I'll be at least 25, 30 metres from the pitch and I won't be at the back.
But will you be close to the bar?
Don't know.
See, that's what you should be checking. So, I'm coming with you. We're going to do the podcast from...
Why don't you buy a ticket?
From the rugby.
I'll meet you there.
I'll just have your ticket. You buy a ticket.
I've got one.
You just agreed to give that to me.
Did you know that tickets to the World Cup final were going for like upwards of something like 30,000?
And maybe you're in the final. Well, I never.
£30,000 a ticket.
I'll buy one of them then. Why don't you sell yours?
Because it's not the final I'm watching, funnily enough.
Just tell people it is.
Yeah,
people don't understand rugby. Just say, look, it's the final of the World Cup. I'll give you it for 10,000. As long as you bring out the free beer for me. I still want the free beer, but 10,000 and you can watch rugby. This is our deal. This is why you're getting it at a cheap price. You watch rugby, I drink free beer.
If I took a hose and just stuck it on the end of like the beer tap and pulled the beer tap on, by the time I ran to my seat, it would have got far enough.
I'd like to think they would have the beer on wheels that they had when they had the stadium tour at Brighton, and they had the little wheelbarrows full of beer underneath the stand. Do you remember them? That's the only thing I remember about that day. I imagine that's what they'll have, and they'll just wheel that next to you.
I'm probably making this up, but I've got a memory that I might have just created where a guy was wearing what could be considered a fat suit, but basically it was like
Is this another run-in with the mirror you're talking about?
No, it was like a life jacket full of alcohol that you could come up to and pay the money, and then he'd fill up a pint glass from the suit he was wearing.
That didn't
So
happen.
the more he
Not
poured,
happen.
so when he ran out of beer, he just like a normal person. But when they filled him back up again, he was full of alcohol and waddled around like a barrel. Was that not a thing? Have I made that up?
I think you've made that up.
Wow.
I remember somewhere I went when you weren't there, where one of the girls we were with wore a bra full of Jack Daniels.
Oh no, I've had a hump like that, a camel hump they're called. I took one to a convention once, and the only drink I could put in it that weren't going to go funny was something like Archer's, which was really annoying.
You could have put any spirit in there.
No, but I think that was the only spirit I had. Is what I mean, I only had beers. Otherwise, someone gave me that. I filled it with wine. Walked around with red wine in a camel hump, drinking it out of the corner of my mouth whenever I needed a bit. That was a very heavy weekend.
Whenever you needed a bit.
I wanted a bit. Right.
I'm starting to dry out. Get the emergency wine back on me. I can't handle this museum any longer.
It was a convention, not a museum.
Same thing. Why would you? Who needs wine on tap at a convention?
Well, it's the after party stuff where you just wander around talking to people.
Wander around the museum, admiring the exhibits, sucking on your wine pump
I don't know what happened to that
like
pump
an old
either. I
booze
must have
hound.
just
They probably
thrown
took it
out.
off you in jail when you got taken in for being drunk and disorderly. It's probably still there.
Might get one.
Monster.
That'd be well good.
What? You could get one. Take it to Rugby. Get them to fill it up with all the free beer, and then we could drink that at the weekend in Birmingham when we go to Eurogamer. Problem solved.
Pumpkin spice lattes are back
Back where?
in Starbucks.
Does that mean we have to go to Peterborough train station, even though we're driving to Eurogamer
I'm
this
there
year?
tomorrow, and that's all I keep thinking. I'm going to get one tomorrow on my way to Hackney.
Why are you going to Hackney?
Work.
You don't work in Hackney.
No, I've got a meeting somewhere there.
Have you? Isn't that where all the gangs and stuff are?
My great nan lived there.
Isn't that where the gangs and stuff are?
When I was a kid, we went there. I'm sure I've told your story in the past. We probably went there for a party. Me and my cousins were playing out in the street. And then the next day, when we got home, it was all over the news that...
You were playing in the street with your cousin.
no, that someone had been murdered in the area. And this group had been wandering around all night looking to get revenge on anyone they saw that they thought were part of this group. And there'd been like all these fights and stabbings and stuff. And we were basically playing like the other side of buildings of where these things had happened. And so it's always kind of like, I wonder how close to anything we were. We probably had gone back in by the time it got to that sort of hour where the stabbing hours, you know. But yeah, it's interesting to think I could have just been witnessing a crime without
Perhaps
realising.
that's where alternate reality Steve split off from you. You died that night, and ever since then, he didn't die. That's when you fell into your coma. And ever since then, this is all in make-believe. That's why you imagine things like men wearing a suit made of beer.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's the ramblings of a 12-year-old boy, or however old you were.
Well, you could fit a lot of pints of beer in a beer suit, surely.
Try it.
You could be like a Michelin Man suit.
I don't think that's a thing. What if you got a puncture? Well, you wouldn't even be able to sit down.
No, because you're on the job. You won't want you sitting down.
Yeah, but I'd want a personal one. I'd want to walk through the door.
Oh, right, you want to put your suit on.
Yeah, then just walk into the football. Hello. Yes, I've let myself go a little bit. Don't mind me. Slush, 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 as I walk in, and then just
A bit like a
sit down,
waterbed, wouldn't it?
start
You'd be
sucking
right.
on my sleeve.
No, I imagine you'd have like little straws either side of your
Well,
mouth.
if you had a straw coming out of it into your mouth, people might cotton on. If you had a little valve in the back of your wrist, so you could just, every now and again pretend you're biting your watch,
Well, just suck
people
your
would think
thumb.
that's completely reasonable. Yeah, I'd like to suck my thumb. I used to love sucking my thumb. The dentist made me stop. I've never forgiven him for it.
Why did you make somebody ruining your teeth?
Yeah. I was going to turn into a toothy person, so he said, stop sucking your thumb. So now,
I probably just thought you looked like a twat.
so now I
and
just do
wanted
this
to
instead.
Hold your nose.
Yeah, it's a bit like sucking my thumb. So basically, this is the position I would have been in when my thumb was in my mouth, but now I tuck the thumb inside my hand. So this is still me sucking
Pull
my
on
thumb.
your beard.
I didn't have a beard when I was 9
Well, that's where you were
or
going wrong.
6 or however old I was when I was made
You
to
were
stop sucking my thumb.
upside down 9,
15.
as I call it, to my daughter to wind her up. She's convinced that's not what it's called.
Yeah, what does she know? So you've been to rugby, you've been to Olympics, you've got all these T-shirts, you've got tennis, Olympics, and rugby all on a T-shirt. What else? You've been to?
Been to the marathon. I've been to Tour de France. When it was in England, though, and I was too busy passed out in the street.
When was it ever in England?
It might have been Tour de England or something. I don't know.
Was it just someone going past you on a bike?
No, we all ran out into the street to do a big cycling thing, and then I woke up on a drip in.
We all ran out into the street to do a big cycling thing.
To look at it as it was going past, and then I woke up in hospital.
Why did you care?
I didn't.
So why did you do it?
I didn't. I don't know. I woke up in hospital. I don't know what happened.
So it was probably nothing to do with the Tour de France.
I've got a feeling it was going through Canterbury for some reason.
What about what other major sports haven't you done? What about cricket? You haven't been to cricket yet.
We went to that place.
A cricket ground?
What's that called?
Headingley.
We went there. I haven't been to see
that was a cricket ground and a rugby ground all rolled into one. That was the best sports stadium I've ever been to.
Yeah, that was an awesome
Those
stadium.
seats where you could see both pitches. That's where I want my season ticket. I want to be overlooking rugby and cricket at the same time.
But then I have seen cricket played live, just not on a world-class stand.
We need to go and see a test match now so we can get cricket shirts.
That'd be great, because
there you do just drink all day.
Yeah, exactly. You just sit out in the sun, don't you?
And you get hammered.
What else is there?
What other sports are there you can go to?
I could have seen over my time.
Wrestling. You love a bit of wrestling.
Don't think I've ever seen any wrestling.
Keep going on about it.
We should go to a Summer Slam or something, whatever it is.
To a Summer Slam. You sound like
Mania.
All right, old man. It's like talking to my dad about it. You're going to tell me it's fake in a minute. No, it's not. It's all real. Look, he's just fallen off a ladder. It must hurt him. I know he knew he was going to fall. It still hurt him, Dad. Summer Slam, idiot.
No, I saw their thing.
He's
live
really bleeding, you know.
It was very good. It was the equivalent of being there, I'd say.
What,
watching
wrestling?
that with a big crowd of people on massive screens.
What, you watched wrestling with a crowd of people in a park?
Yeah, in a bar. In a walkabout in Birmingham.
Why did you do that?
Because the bar we were in closed at 2 a.m. and we went to wander back to our hostel and.
Why were you in a hostel in Birmingham?
It's a stag do. And we passed a walkabout that was just gearing up to start showing the wrestling live. And there were people there who'd paid money to sit in the front row of the whole kind of thing they'd set up. And then when they put on all the TVs, the TV at the front where these people had paid through the nose for front row viewing didn't work. So they were at the back. And we laughed our socks off. So
we've been those kind of people. We paid to go and watch boxing at a snooker club. You remember that?
Did we pay?
I'm sure we paid.
No.
It was I can't remember who it was. It was the big fight though, wasn't it? Back when again, we became those annoying people who, there's a media hubbub about this thing we have no interest in, and 3 years later we don't even remember who was fighting. Let's go and pay money to go and watch the big fight. And, wasn't it late at night? And then we played.
Oh yeah, we were there till like 3 and
but I don't know, Frank Bruno, I imagine. Who could it have been?
Yeah, it's got to have been Bruno B. Tyson or something.
Yeah. But, who have we had any boxers recently? I don't know. Who could it have been? Who could it have possibly been? We spent money on that. That was the day you tried Monster, I think, wasn't it? Because you got a free Monster for Because every time we went into Riley's, you'd get your bloody tickets out that you got in Freshers Week, and they lasted you years.
Yeah, they kept sending me them through the post. I didn't have the same run of them.
I just thought you had the same big dangly.
We played darts, snooker, and watched boxing.
Yeah, we basically did a triathlon. The fat man's triathlon. Darts, snooker, and boxing.
We could have played poker as well, but you didn't want to play with the sharks, I remember.
Yeah, they'd have taken all my money off of me.
But you would have...
Who wants to play poker in a snooker club with drug dealers and gang lords?
Yeah, that's
no one in there is just playing to have a laugh. They're in there because they haven't got any drug deals or stabbings to do right now. Sorry if you regularly play poker in a snooker club, but you probably listen to this while you're stabbing someone.
Could you imagine if they're like, I'm not stabbing someone, I stabbed someone earlier, but right now I'm perfectly legal.
Yeah, I'm on my way to stab somebody. I'm cleaning my knife after a stabbing.
See, that's another sport that we've been involved in.
Stabbing?
Poker. The sport of poker.
That's not a sport.
We play that at Dusk
That's
Till
a
Dawn
game, it's not a
once
sport.
or twice a year. becoming a
haven't
sport.
done it for several
We haven't
years.
done it in a while, have we?
We should go now.
Yeah.
It's on the way to Eurogamer. Should we go on the way to Eurogamer?
We can make that our meet-up.
Let Anna and Bouncy sit in the car while we go and play poker.
You wouldn't be in there long. You'd be buying yourself into the pansy game.
We could leave Anna and Bouncy playing roulette, put a pile of chips in front of them, let them play roulette and drink cocktails, or we go and mix it with the men. And
Bouncy seems like he'd be good at blackjack. You should be asking him to hit him over and over again.
That's just because he's irresponsible. That's the key to blackjack. Just having no.
Yeah, I never really thought about it. You're right. That is the only personality trait that I think would have made it work for him. But I'm conservative enough to do all right at poker in the early stages, and then stupid enough to see it through on a fluke often.
Didn't I do quite well last time we went there?
You went out in the first 4 or 5
But then I made it to a final table, didn't I?
We paid into the normal person's game for £15, and then you went out really, really quickly, and then they had a £5 game going on with about 40 people in, and then you got to the final table on that. And you won a tenner.
Hey!
So it was
I win at poker. You're only as good as your last game. And I made it to the final table the last time I played poker live. In your face.
I made it very far. I didn't get any money.
In your face. Only as good as your last game. You, as a big San Antonio Spurs fan, should know all about that.
Yeah.
Because of
Aldridge.
That was his name, wasn't it? The
Buzz Aldridge, the spaceman.
The cricketer. What?
He's a spaceman and a cricket player now.
Probably. Why wouldn't he be? So we need to get you along to a cricket game.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
We need to get you along to the wrestling.
Formula One. I'd love to see that.
I've been to Silverstone on a day when they were driving stuff around, and so boring. Now, when you watch a normal sport,
they follow it, don't they? The action.
You generally sit somewhere where you can see everything that's going on. But with the motor racing stuff, we went and got the best spot, which was on this corner right near a straight. I don't know. I don't understand motorsport. But basically, I was stood out in the cold for 7 hours. The beer was miles away, so I had to keep traipsing off to fetch another beer every now and again. And then when the race actually started, you'd just get 15 seconds of deafening noise while it was basically like being stood next to a roundabout, just watching cars go past.
Sounds remarkably like when I saw Bon Jovi live, but carry on.
Quite slow, because they're going around a corner, so it is just like watching them go around a normal roundabout. You could stand outside Marks and Spencer's in town and just watch the same thing, and then they're gone again. And then you just...
See, I always wonder why they don't
come back.
Build really high up seats so you're all looking down over the whole...
Quidditch stadium.
Yeah, or get blimps that you'll just wander around. Or
just watch it on the telly if you must watch it.
Have blimps flying over it so you can just look down on the car and see a bird's eye view.
Yeah, and put it on the telly and then everyone can stay at home.
Glass floors.
And I came home from that day with an abscess in my throat and ended up ill in bed for 2 weeks, and I blame motorsport for it. Or it could have been the fact I was so bored I smoked about 80 cigarettes because that's all there was to do. Because it must have been... I think I was still at school when I went there, and I just went with a few mates. That was the day where I got in trouble for not understanding how cars worked, because being teenagers in a car, we were on the way there, we were going down a hill, and someone, for some reason, shouted, "Take the keys out!" I wasn't driving, I was sat in the back. So the guy who was driving took the keys out, just passed them around a bit, and they ended up in my lap. And then he realised that by taking the keys out, it disabled the power steering, and we were going down a hill that had a bend at the bottom, and everyone started panicking and screaming at me, and I didn't know they needed the keys back to get the car to move, and we almost died. That was when I realised I should probably never drive myself, because I just didn't understand what was going on. I was completely oblivious to the fact we were basically free-falling down a hill with no way of stopping or turning.
You had brakes. And non-power steering.
How cars work.
He could have just put his foot on the brake and broke.
He was screaming a lot for someone who could have just done that.
See, whereas my mates, when we were driving dangerously, they'd be ploughing along a road at 100. One time he was ploughing along, again, Bon Jovi was playing. And suddenly we were on the wrong side of the road because he was dancing while driving, and then we went to go back on the right side of the road, but there was a barrier in the way, so we had to just go down the wrong side of the road at about 120, trying to find a way back on. And another time he was dancing to something else, but possibly, in my head, it was a Terminator theme tune to a dance track for some reason. and the car in front just stopped in the middle of the road, and without even flinching, he just was dancing, and one of his dance moves was just to move the steering wheel to the right, go around the car and back on. And I thought that guy probably saved us from death that he almost caused twice. Right.
Let me stop you right there. If you want to hear how the rest of this conversation goes, you need to head on over to More From The Internet, which is available at weirdfromtheinternet.com/bonus or from patreon.com/KevinSteve. If you don't want to do any of that, which I kind of understand, you don't want to do.
Yeah, I won't be telling more stories like that one. That kind of got away from me a bit. You started playing with your sore leg.
Yeah, it is a sore leg. But you can find us on Twitter at KevinSteve, or you can follow me at Lelujo.
Well, I'm at RB6K.
Or on Facebook. Psst, we're on Facebook. Facebook.com/KevinSteve. That's me and him on Facebook. Who'd have thought? Or we've got a website, weirdfromtheinternet.com. That's it. That's the full, website.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm so used to plugging our tat. Talking about tat, if you want the rugby t-shirt we're talking about so much, that's weirdfromtheinternet.com/rugby. You too can go along to the rugby and show that you love rugby.
Rugby.
Yeah.
I'm going to be making my own chants, and that's one of them.
Oh, rugby, we love you.
That was one I told you about last week.
Exactly.
Huh.
See you next week, boys and girls.
Have a good week.